Hello and welcome to Nails Beauty and Training by Ellie Tutorials. This edition is going to be how to design a Northern Lights effect nail. So we're going to be using different techniques including blooming gel and detail painting to get the effect of those beautiful bright northern lights and the silhouettes of the trees. So the first thing we're going to do is pop on our base colour. Now if this was a natural nail, you would have prepped it and then wiped it with your preparation fluid to remove any oils and moisture on the nail plate, and you would have then put your base coat on to start with. As this is a plastic tip, we're going to start with our colour. I'm using a slate grey colour for my background. There we go. Now you can choose a different background colour if you wish. I just find this one works nicely as a background to start it all off. I have tried it with a navy and a purple, but I found they were just a little bit too dark when we come to blend in the other colours. So we're going to pop one coat of our base colour on, and then that's going to go into our gel UV lamp. I'm using an LED 48 watt lamp, and that's going to cure for 30 seconds. Once that's finished curing, we can go ahead and pop our second layer of base colour on. So again with the slate grey, bumping that colour up to the cuticle, if this was a natural nail obviously, and bringing it down for full coverage to the free edge of the nail, making sure getting right up to those side walls but not getting any product on the skin of your client. And again, we're going to cure that for the required time in your lamp with your settings. After we've cured 2 coats of our base colour, the next thing we're going to do is apply a coat of base. So any normal base coat will do, gel base coat, and we're going to apply that onto the nail nice and evenly. Now you're going to go a little bit thicker than you would if you were applying normal base coat onto a natural nail, but not really thick and gloopy that it would run into the side walls or into the cuticle area of your client. A nice even coat, and we're not going to cure this. We're going to leave this wet. Once we've got that covered with our base coat, we're going to bring in our colours, which are going to first off I'm going to pick up the Aurora Borealis, the neon green, and I'm going to place a generous amount into that uncured wet base coat, and I'm just going to swirl it around, dot it about into that base coat, and that will sort of start to spread itself out into the base coat. And then I'm going to take an amount of powder blue, and I'm going to do the same on the opposite side and just dot that into that base coat and allow it time to bloom out and spread. Next, I'm going to take some of my deep purple, and this is going to create the night sky effect for us. And we're going to do exactly the same and just blob that into the base coat, floating it through and letting it spread itself out at the edges. You can sort of swirl it around as well if you want to give it like a galaxy effect. And that'll spread itself out and thin out at the edges, so you'll get that lovely bloomed effect like we're getting down here with these two. If you're finding it's a little bit solid, you can use your dotting tool just to pull it away at the edges and spread it a little bit more. Like that. But that will just sort of thin out at the edges and create that really nice faded look that we've got there. When you're happy with your bloom, you can go ahead and pop that back in your light for your required amount of time. Mine's 30 seconds. So now, once that's cured, we're going to do another layer of base coat, same as last time, and not cure it. So we're just going to pop that nice and even over the colours that we've got there. And then we're not going to cure it. We're going to leave that wet. And we're going to take a small dotting tool. I'm going to pick up some neon green. I'm going to create the Aurora Borealis effects that swoop across the sky. So we're going to start at one end and we're literally going to go in a wiggly line across. And that's going to bloom out like the other gel did before. And then I'm going to take another line and I'm going to go across the purple with it in a nice swoop like that. I'm not going to wiggle that one, I'm just going to pull it across. And they'll spread themselves out like before. I'm then going to use the small dotter and pick up some of the cerise pink. And I'm going to follow the line of the green and wiggle that through as well. And then that will sort of spread itself out. Then we're going to take a fine detailing brush and we're going to feather these colours out to give that effect of the lights that they have where they sort of drag down into points. So you can see there, I'm just gently pulling that colour down, and then with the pink I'm going to pull it up into that green and into the night sky. And that just sort of spreads it a bit more as it blooms and gives it that lovely almost tie-dye Aurora Borealis effect. Pulling that down. And allowing it to bloom out. You can add a bit more if you wish. So I feel like I've lost my neon swoop there. So I'm just going to pop another little bit of that on. And use my brush to pull it through again. Like that. And then give it that little swoop going up across the sky there. Give all that time to spread and bloom. And make sure you're happy with it and how it looks. And once you're happy with the effect that you've got there, pop it back in your light. Okay, our next step, I'm going to take some paler pink. I've got like a neon pink here, up onto the end of my small dotting tool. And I'm going to do the same with that as we've done before. So a thinnish layer of base coat over the nail. And then taking your neon pink, and I'm just going to go along where the other pink is just to highlight it, like so. And that's going to bloom itself out and spread. Across that pink. Whilst that's spreading with my detailer, I'm going to pick up, I've got some like purple sparkle here, And I'm just going to pat some of that in to the night sky. We only need a tiny bit, and we're going to use the detail brush just to thin it out and spread it. And the glitter in there is going to give the effect of the twinkling night sky. And we only need it a little bit. We don't want to overdo it. And once that's in there and you're happy with it, so that's all the blooming we've done. Again. The next step is the detail work. So again, we're going to take our detailer brush, which we've cleaned, and we're going to use some black for this bit. And the first thing I'm going to do is create the landscape at the bottom. So we're just going to do our little cut off line where we want our land to start. I'm going to do that just at the bottom of where those two patches of bloomed green and blue are, because our trees are going to silhouette against those. And then I'm just going to fill in the bottom like you would a smile line for French. Fill that in, and that is our land silhouetted in the foreground there. And then just flash cure that for 10 seconds. We're now going to create our trees with our little detailer brush. Take on a little black, and we're going to do a line in the centre first. So start in your black where you put your land and just bring a straight line up through the middle. If it's not very noticeable, you can go over it, make it a bit thicker, because it is a tree trunk after all. So we're going to come up there. It should be thicker at the bottom than it is at the top, as is generally the case with trees. So make the one in the middle the tallest tree of all. So there's our first tree trunk. Then we're going to do another one slightly smaller at this side. Again, thicker at the bottom than it is at the top. You can achieve that just by pressing down a bit harder with your brush at the base and then lifting it as you come up to the top to thin it out. And then I'm going to pop out another one at the other side in the same way. Coming up there. Well, that's our tree trunks, and we're going to flash cure them for 10 seconds. So now we're going to add some branches. So again, we're going to take some black onto the end of our detailing brush, and we're going to start at the bottom of the one furthest away from your dominant hand, so that you're not crossing over yourself to do work, okay? So take up a little black, and we're going to just put our little branches, little slopes down, little flick strokes, just to put those branches on the tree, like so. And the same again at your other side. You only need a tiny little bit of gel on your brush, otherwise you're going to get big blobby black branches like that. Look, it looks really thick. So if you've got too much, just tap it on your glove or wipe a bit off on your palette. And that's one of our little trees. It needs another little branch at the top there. Don't worry if they do sort of blend into each other, because when we come to highlight them, it separates them out again. But once you've got your little tree on there, give it a flash cure for 10 seconds. I'm going to do the exact same now with the one in the middle. Take your branches nice slant downwards. This is a bigger tree, and these branches would be thicker. You can see I'm just working my way up to the top. If If your tree trunk's faded a little bit as well, you can pop it back in. Let's come to the other side. And you can, don't know if you can see, but I use my little finger as an anchor to steady myself. So if you're just painting like this, you're going to wobble. If you pop your little finger on the side of your hand there, it acts as an anchor to steady your hand, giving you a bit more control when you're doing your little tiny brush strokes. All the way down to the forest floor, and then pop that in for a 10-second flash cure once you're happy. I think we need another little branch in there personally. There we go. Yeah, and onto our final tree, exactly the same way as we did before. Popping our little branches. Nice, light, gentle touch. Starting at the bottom and working up to the top of the tree. So the last thing we're going to add is our highlights and our stars, using white on our detailer brush. So I'm going to start here in this top corner, and I'm going to paint as a little star. Really easy to do. Nice thin lines, just come straight down. Again, using your little finger as an anchor to steady your hand, back across, and then in between. Let's give us a nice feature star there. You can use your detailer brush, or you can use a dotting tool for the next bit, and we're literally going to put little twinkly dots randomly around in the night sky, like so. And then we're going to put our highlights on our tree. So when you do your highlights, think about light source. So light source is, in this instance, is probably going to be coming from the moon. So if you imagine where the moon is positioned, I'm going to position it, it would be here in the sky. The light from the moon is coming from here. So it would hit the trees on this side, not that side. So if always think of light source when you think of highlighting or anything like that. Think about where the light's coming from and where it would touch. And then use your detailer just to pop those little white lines in where the light would hit the branches of the tree. Again, keep it nice and light, the touch that you're using, and you don't need a great deal on your brush. And we're just going to come right down the branches where that light would be hitting them. And then I'm just going to go down the tree trunks where the light would be caught on that central trunk of the tree there. And your highlights will meet up to it. Once you're happy, pop it into cure for the required amount of time. So the final step is just to top coat your design to seal it in there and give it that lovely high shine. I'm using a non-wipe top coat. I find they tend to hold their gloss better than the ones you have to wipe off. So just make sure you cover that. Obviously if you're on a client, you want to be pushing that right up to the cuticle edge and then capping your free edge. Not loading your brush too heavy or you'll get it on the skin for the client. Once that's covered, you can pop that in your light for its final cure. And there we have our finished Northern Lights nail design. I'll pop that on there, you can see it next to the other one. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can also follow me on Instagram at EllieJFlem or on Facebook at EllieJFleming Nails.